spoken to you a few times on Assembly about the Redlands Jobs Committee organising opportunities to visit schools with guests who have taken time out of their day to come and tell you about their careers. So we have 5 special guests here today, as well as Kate, from the Redlands Jobs Committee, and they have given up their time. So I want you to, in the next hour, as you sit and listen, to try to get everything out of this that you can, but I want you to remember 2 things. The first one is that we've come here today to learn about options for the next few years beyond school. So there might be some really interesting things that you hear today, but please don't discount that the person next to you really needs to hear as well. So even if you are not connecting with what's happening right in front of you at that moment, please don't start talking to the person next to you. Let them absorb everything they need to absorb as well. Can we make sure we do that? Great, awesome. And the second thing is please respect and value the time of all of our speakers this morning. These are people who have busy jobs. Time is money. They have taken time out of their day. So please respect and value the time that they've given up out of their profession today to be here. They're here for you. They're here to help you. So please ask great questions, and any question at all I'm sure they'll be happy to answer to help you think about things you'd like to do beyond school. I'm going to start by introducing Kate. Kate reached out to the school and spoke with Mrs. Lander a few months ago now. When would that have been? Term 2 perhaps?
A while ago. Yeah.
Quite a while ago. So there's been a lot of backwards and forwards between Kate and Mrs. Lander, and also myself to organise this morning. Kate is going to introduce our speakers this morning. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that we do have a camera here. We are recording this. So please, if you need to hop up and leave, if you could just be mindful of the camera and try to avoid walking across the front here, that would be really wonderful. Enjoy the morning. I'll hand over to Kate. Thank you, Kate. Can we put our hands together for all of our guests this morning?
Thank you very much, Tony. Just quickly checking on sound check. Are we on? Is the speaker on the camera? Yep, all good. Great, thank you. Thank you, everybody. My name is Kate Adams. I am the project manager for the Redlands Regional Jobs Committee. We are a Queensland government-funded initiative, which is one of currently 9, will be 12 from January, regional jobs committees set up by the Queensland government around Queensland. And the intention and purpose is to help support economic development, jobs growth, and connection between job seekers and businesses employing in our Redlands region. We run a range of different initiatives that we do to sort of fit under that banner. And one of the things we do is these panel chats in schools to really give you guys a little bit of first-hand experience and exposure to different career paths, actual people working in these fields here in our Redlands region. And you feel free to use this opportunity to ask questions. So we'll give you a briefing today and then have a chance to ask questions. So think of anything whilst we're going, and then ask away at the end of the presentations. Also, you've got in front of you, hopefully you've all got one, let us know if you don't, a business card. So that card is our Redlands Regional Jobs Committee card. On one side there's a QR code which takes you straight to our jobs board. Our jobs board is effectively like Seek, where it has all these different jobs listed, but they're just in the Redlands. So I highly recommend use your QR code, go straight to that jobs board, and if you are looking for a job in the Redlands, check it once a week. Just keep that thing in your pocket. Once a week, have a look on the QR code, go straight to the website, and see if there's any jobs here in the Redlands that interest you. We do get quite a lot of entry-level jobs, so please utilise that resource. It's completely free. You can connect and apply through the Redlands jobs board to actually apply for jobs. The other side of the business card has another QR code that takes you straight to our Redlands Regional Jobs Committee resources. And in there's a whole heap of resources. There's videos, including other panel chats with other different specialists in our area talking about other career paths. There's also things like tips and guides to help you with like writing a resume, doing an interview, starting a business. There's a whole heap of different resources there, and we've created a bit of a one-stop shop place to scroll through links to useful government information. So one of the things we found over the last few years, 3 years of running a regional jobs committee, is there is actually a heap of information that exists out there, but the hardest thing is to actually find it in the first place. So that is a really good place. If you go to that QR code, we've got a whole heap of links, and it's things like how to get an apprenticeship, how to do a sign up, what are the incentives for doing a traineeship. There's a whole heap of different resources and links, and it just puts it all in one place for you to start that journey. Definitely recommend, get a cup of tea or whatever it is you like to drink and just sit down and use half an hour, start scrolling and start educating yourself on career path options and all the different resources that are up there as links for you to search. So that's really the Redlands Regional Jobs Committee in a bit of a nutshell. I'll quickly get everybody to introduce themselves and what particular field they work in, and then we'll go back through and do proper discussions. So thanks for having us.
Hi, my name is Rhule. I'm a Senior Constable with the Queensland Police Service.
Good morning, my name is Stuart. I am the business owner for MF Martial Arts.
My name's Lockie and I'm the owner and managing director of Outcast Media.
Hi, I'm Debbie, Debbie Jeffries. I'm a clinical psychologist and the owner of Redlands Psychologist, and I can't speak.
Hi, I'm Amy. I am a careers counsellor and I run my own careers counselling business through Redlands Psychologists.
Okay, so I'll start. As I said, my name's Meg. I'm a Senior Constable with QPS. I joined the police service roughly 24 years ago. And before the police service, I had a few jobs. I didn't actually do that very well at school. I didn't think school was that important when I was there. So I went to night school after I graduated and got my equivalent of ATAR boosted a bit. And after that, I went and completed an Associate Diploma of Business. Went and worked for a few years and then decided I wanted to go back to uni, and I got a degree in Human Movement Science. So nothing related to policing at all. And while I was there, I really thought about becoming a police officer. It was something I'd always wanted to do. Again, after uni, I went and worked for a little while and finally decided that I did want to become a police officer and applied and joined the academy when I was 24. Outside of the service, I'm married to a detective and have 4 kids. 2 have graduated school, one's in grade 11 like some of you guys, and one's in grade 8, so pretty busy. So currently I work as a school-based police officer, so I work in schools. My 2 schools are based over at Wynnum, they're the 2 state high schools over at Wynnum, but I come into all schools within the Redlands and Wynnum area, what we call the Bayside Policing area. And I'm attached to a child protection unit, so I'm one of 2 uniformed officers in a non-uniform section. So I work with detectives and plainclothes officers whose job is to keep kids safe. So my main role these days is working with kids to see that police officers aren't all bad. A lot of the kids we work with have come from really not nice households and may have seen police as fairly bad and toxic. It's my job to break down those barriers, so it's pretty rewarding. I run talks on cyber safety, drugs, help out in science classes, legal studies classes, get to play sport some days, muck around with them, and I do deal with their very, very minor offending. So if they've just done something little and they need a chat from us, that's where I come in rather than sending them to court. We work closely with teachers and the leadership within the schools to make sure that we're all working on the same page for the best results of the kids. So my history in policing, I started, as I said, 24 years ago. I did my first year of policing in Logan, which was a good introduction to policing. From there I moved to Toowoomba, and just after I've had my first baby, we moved back to Brisbane. Took some time away from policing to raise the baby. I took a year off and then I went back. And I came back and have done most of my policing at Capalaba until last year when I moved over to Wynnum. So there's an amazing range of policing that you can do. It's not just the guys you see on the street or the detectives as well. So I've done mainly what we call general duties policing. So that's the first response. When you call for help, that's who's coming. They're the ones you see driving pretty cool, lights and sirens, coming to help you. But then behind the scenes, you have the detectives, you have your scenes of crime officers, you have fingerprint officers who actually check the fingerprints in town. We have crime prevention officers. We have mounted police, dive squad, bomb squad, specialist police, public safety response team, which respond to like things like protests and do river fire, wherever there's heaps of people they are. And our special emergency response team, which are a little bit like the equivalent of the Army's SAS. So they're our elite squad. So they attend all the really, really dangerous and volatile situations. So yeah, in terms of if you want to become a police officer, it's pretty cool. There are days that it's boring, there's a lot of paperwork, but you get the opportunity to travel around the state. You can go as far north as Torres Strait, out to the country borders, and even closer here we have police on Macleay, Russell and Stradbroke, and well, we police Moreton, but we don't have police on there yet. So you could end up find yourself working over at Straddy, which is a pretty cool place to be. For any kids that want to get into policing, I would say my biggest tips are keep trying at school. Like I said, I didn't do great, but I passed. You don't need an ATAR, but you do need to have an understanding of English and math. Stay fit, we have fitness requirements to get in. Get your driver's licence as soon as possible. You need to be on your green Ps by the time you leave the academy. So you need to be 18 to join the academy and on your green Ps by the time you leave the academy. Help out in the community as much as you can. We really like that. We always say the QPS is like a big sports team. Everyone plays a part, but you've got to be a team player. And really consider if you're able to move away from home, because the likelihood is you're not going to stay in Brisbane. You probably will get sent somewhere else. And stay out of trouble. Don't get a criminal history. They're probably my biggest tips.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to mould my chat a little bit depending on where you guys are headed. So can I just have maybe show of hands, who's interested in starting or owning a business? Couple, cool. Who's interested in like health, hospitals, physio, PT, sport? Okay, cool. All right, I'll go that way. So my name's Stuart. I'm an exercise physiologist by qualification. When I was your age, I wanted to play cricket for Australia. Knew that wasn't going to happen. So I thought next best thing is sort of get into exercise science. I actually also did human movements, and I actually started using my degree. But where I've ended up hasn't, I don't really use my degree day to day now. But I guess probably one of the takeaways from me from today is you don't really necessarily know where you're going when you're at school. That's easy for me to say because I think I finished school before most of you guys were born. So I'm now that old guy giving advice to you guys. So I knew I wanted to do sport and science. I did biology, chemistry, maths at school, PE. Got into uni, smashed through uni, and did that. I've had a job as a PT. I worked in corporate health. I worked at a footy club doing rehab from injuries. That led me to not want to work at a footy club ever again. There's just interesting culture, not being a football player myself. And then I went into corporate health, so doing health testing for business people, executives. We'd stick like ECGs on them, run them on a treadmill until they got exhausted, talk about health and how to stay healthy basically while working ridiculous hours in the city. After that I went travelling for 7 months overseas, and actually 10 years to go I was in Egypt, so I probably wouldn't recommend going to Egypt at the moment, but that's where I was 10 years ago. Came back from there and I moved to Hervey Bay. So I'm from Brisbane, I grew up in Brisbane, moved to Hervey Bay for a job opportunity and worked up there for a couple of years. While I was up there, I basically got told by my boss, oh, by the way, you're starting a martial arts school, and I went, okay, let's do it then. I'd done Taekwondo as a kid, and it's something I wasn't actively doing, but I thought maybe one day I'd get back into, but to go, if you're now doing this, it was quite an interesting story. So I did that in Hervey Bay for a couple of years, and then I came back to Brisbane and became the business owner here with them, Matt Fiddes Martial Arts. I'm still working in as an ex-phys, or actually as an occupational rehab consultant, so doing return to work stuff. So you guys might have heard of work cover, so if people get injured through work, so helping do return to work plans and getting people back to work safely. So doing 2 jobs at one time, which made my life super busy. Enter COVID, and my business partner decided to exit, that he wasn't able to put in the time to rebuild the business. Obviously, they took a bit of a hit there. So that was me from there, and that's pretty much been my full-time thing since then. So in terms of business, Lockie will tell his story in a little bit. But if you are going to own a business, I do recommend working for someone else first. That way you can learn what to do, what not to do, learn the basics of how does a business work, how does it make money, how do you not make money, learn the basics of finance and marketing and all of that sort of stuff. Communication, customer service, all of that stuff's super critical. And if you're annoying your customer base, then you're not going to have any customers, no business. So that's probably one of my biggest takeaways for you guys today. In terms of life lessons, I think be open to opportunities. Like, I literally wouldn't be here today if I hadn't said yes to doing the martial arts. I wouldn't be doing martial arts if I hadn't said yes to going to Harvey Bay. I probably wouldn't have been in Harvey Bay if I hadn't said yes to going travelling for 7 months. So be open to opportunities, and you never know where you're going to end up. Don't burn your bridges. I know that's something I didn't really talk about, but if you're leaving a job or leaving a place or leaving someone, don't burn your bridges. Try and leave it on a positive note. You think, oh, Brisbane's this huge place, but it's not. And if you're not leaving the Redlands, that's an even smaller place. Everyone knows everyone. These two work together. This guy went to this school. You're always going to come across, oh, I heard that person. Yeah, no, don't work with them. They didn't show up on time, stole money, didn't work hard. Right? The only thing you guys really have is your name and your reputation. And if you spoil your reputation, you're cooked. So don't burn your bridges. And then the last thing is always be learning. Since I've gone into business, I've had to learn about marketing, Facebook advertising, finance, tax. I don't know how much of that they teach you at school. Nothing when I was there. Communication, people management. I've got people who work for me now, other martial arts instructors. I've got to manage them, manage their problems, their students, any issues they're having in class. So learning to be a good communicator is super important. So yeah, always be learning. Don't burn your bridges and be open to opportunities. Thank you.
Hello, for those who don't know me, my name is Lachlan Helmrich. I graduated last year from here, and since graduating, I've launched my own media business, which is focusing on videography, photography, marketing, and digital marketing. Just before I begin, I really want to emphasise the point of I'm surrounded by university-educated and very skilled and qualified people who have been in their respective field for a long time. I haven't. I've been doing it for less than a year, which means what I'm about to tell you, I don't specifically have the grounds to tell you, and I don't have the education behind me and the experience behind me for you guys really to listen and go, oh, Lockie, listen to him, his words, it's the point. So it's not, I just really want to give you some advice on what I've done since leaving school and the process that I've used since leaving school. And I want to start by saying I followed a 3-step process, which has worked for me. It might not work for you, but I really think it can be applied to almost every other industry, including my media industry. And that is passion, vision, and execution. Halfway through grade 12, I started to ask myself, what's my passion? What do I love to do? What am I good at? And then I really wanted to move that into, what's my vision with this? Where am I going with my passion? How can I monetize it? Am I going to get a job in it? And then 3, how do I execute it? What do I do? So halfway through grade 12, you would have seen videos that I would have done on assembly. I was doing some really, funny stuff, some cool stuff. I really love to do it. That's really where I found my vision and my passion for video. I loved making videos. I loved directing things. I loved, grabbing a camera and creating stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that I know that, because I know some people, it's hard to find out what you love doing. And that is totally okay. There is nothing wrong with that. It might take you some more time, do some soul searching, but you'll find out what your passion is and if you want to pursue a career in it. So I knew what I was passionate about. Towards the start of grade 12 also, I was like, what do I do? What do I have to do in order to get a career in this? And I didn't really know where I wanted to go, but I knew that I had to get some level of education, and that was, I can't go to uni, I'm in grade 12, so I went to TAFE. And at TAFE, I know this sounds slightly arrogant, but I didn't go to learn, I went to network. I went to meet people who had the same vision and passion that I had, and to learn from them, and to learn from my lecturers, and to learn from the people who were teaching me, and also become friends with them, because these people can help you out in your later life, and that's that's what happened with me. So I went to TAFE, I finished TAFE at the end of grade 12, and I went, you know what do I do? I could go get a job, I could go to university, or I could make what some people would call a dumb decision and go into business and start my own media business with, you know, less than a year's worth of experience in media and videography, but no experience in business at all. No idea of literally anything. How do you start a business? I didn't know. But I did it in December. I spent the whole month setting up just the base of the business, and from there basically growing this business from the ground up, and had a lot of minor success through this year. But it has not come easy. I've seen a lot of my friends and a lot of people around me play Fortnite all year and not really do anything all year, and they've got to, you know, they've got into November and they've gone, well, nothing's happened for me this year. And the reality is nothing happens for you unless you put yourself out there, you network, you talk to people, and you would be ambitious. So I cannot emphasize that enough. Be ambitious when you're leaving school and figure out what your passion is, what your vision is, and how are you going to do it. That might be university, that might be starting a business. Figure it out. There is no rush to do it. Everyone's on their own journey. But that 3-step process really worked for me, helped me get into videography and photography in my business, and I really think it can be applied to a lot of other industries also. So, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not very articulate because primarily I'm a really good listener. So I'm a psychologist and I spend a lot of my day listening. But what I'm going to say is everyone's talked about the different pathways. My pathway went every direction but psychology and school. You know, not a lot of parents in schools want me to say, here I am owning a business with 30 psychologists, and I actually didn't even do grade 12. I dropped out grade 11, had lots of stuff going on at home, was a very shy, anxious teen, didn't know what I wanted to do, thought it was medicine, and I dropped out, had to go find myself a job, did hairdressing, then eventually went back, had to do a prep course to get back into uni, did that for 6 months, worked pretty well entirely through university hairdressing to be able to afford to live, to be able to study. I decided after my 3rd year of psychology that I was using it as a base into medicine. Could have went into medicine, decided I really loved what I was doing. I did my honours in Toowoomba, and all this time I was doing it part-time and working pretty well full-time. So it was really, really tough, but it was about, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I'd actually done the trade, I'd done the hard work, I'd done working, you know, 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock on a Thursday night in a hairdressing site, or Saturday all day, and thought, oh, this is not what I want. I want a bit of a work-life balance. So I didn't actually get to start my degree till I was 25. And then realistically, if you're going to be a psychologist, after 4 years, there's plenty of different avenues for psychology, but to be able to actually work with people and to make a difference in people's lives, 4-year degrees generally don't cut it. They actually cut the 4-year degree now. So then I enrolled in PhD and a master's program in neuropsychology. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to do medicine, I'm going to work in hospitals. I'm going to work with brain injury and all sorts of the medical route of psychology, and also do clinical psychology because I was a nutcase by this stage. If you've noticed, I don't stop moving. I've got ADHD. Some people find that a real barrier when you're at school. I've actually found that to be my superpower because I really have to be doing something all the time, and that's how, you know, you can actually channel some of those, what becomes in your schooling challenges. You can channel those things to actually help you become really, really good at something you're passionate about. So by the time I did get into my clinical neuropsychology degree, 25 people in University of Queensland actually got through, so it was pretty competitive. And I actually don't do neuropsychology anymore. Worked in a hospital. I think going out on your own is a tough gig. Take my hat off to you. So worked in a hospital, a really broad range of presentations. I worked in the Children's Hospital, which was wonderful. Originally children was primarily my passion, and then I went into private practice, very, very isolating. So if you're thinking psychology, working by yourself and having your own business, it's, you know, most people going to psychology really don't love the paperwork side of things, so I would not suggest solo practice. Then went into a team practice, and it's just kept growing, all because we're so passionate and we see each other as a team rather than I'm certainly not a boss. You know, I couldn't do what I do if I didn't have this massive group of people that, you know, pick up the slack for all the little tiny details I don't like to do because I can't say sitting in front of a desk all the time. I'd rather sit and listen, reflect for people. But what I would say is there is no right way to do this. Many people that come to me have done other careers before coming to psychology. Some have gone straight from uni, you know, straight to uni, they've been that really high achieving, really driven, had to try and get that really high ATAR, go through, come out, and realistically, some of them are so burnt out, they come out, you know, for their jobs and say, can I just go slow? I just need a break, which is really sad. So, you know, it's about taking your time, enjoying what you do, and actually, you know, but if you're going to uni, have fun. You know, I cannot stress you here all the time. Uni is not school. It's, you know, part-time, even if you're going full-time. You have to keep on top of your work, but it's a lot of friendship, socialising, forming networks. I think, you know, I still, every month, you know, sometimes it's only every 2 months, meet up with people I was at uni with. We all get together. It's great. You know, there's a big network of people. They've been really great peer supports, those that have gone into psychology practices themselves. And why I really love psychology is I finish at 3 every day. I've got 3 children. You know, I'm really passionate about making sure they've got every opportunity maybe that I didn't have. And so I can do that because I'm doing a career that allows flexibility. I don't work Mondays. You know, I work half a day Friday. I don't do any more Saturdays. I can come and do presentations. I can do group work. I can liaise with people in the community. I can do assessments and work out learning difficulties, but I can also then work, you know, help people in the worst times of their life. And so I find it extremely rewarding. So that's me.
Okay, you've all been great listeners, so I will try to keep mine as short as I can. But one of the things that I have been listening to on this panel, with the exception of Lockie, is that everybody is doing something different to what they originally started out thinking that they would do. So everybody has gone to university or they have gone into the workforce with the intention of doing something that they think would be a really good start after school. The question that these people answered for themselves as they got older, as they got out of school, as they started to listen to who they are, what their passions are, what they're interested in, what their vision is, sometimes that doesn't come just yet. Sometimes in year 9, 10, 11 and 12, when we're asking you to make decisions about what's coming after year 12, you don't know, and that is okay. Everybody in this panel has been successful in their own right, but not everybody knew what was going to happen as soon as they left school or while they were in school. Interestingly, Lockie, what you did was you asked yourself those questions while you were in school, and you didn't follow the traditional path that probably everybody else was following, which was go to uni, spend a bit more time trying to work out what you're going to do, and then think about a job after that. Lockie has gone in to his business, which is the scary option, right? It's the option where there's, you know, there's not a lot of, you've got no control, do you? You put yourself out there, you hope for the best, and you see what will come from that. But I think what has been really interesting from what I do and from the point of view of a careers counsellor, I have worked in schools for many years doing careers counselling. I have worked with year 10s, 11s and 12s and sat with them and asked those questions. What is your subject selection for next year? What are you thinking about for the year after? Are you thinking about going to work? Do you want to trade? Do you want an apprenticeship? Do you want to go into work Do you want to do some school-based study? Because of the volume of students that I would see, I couldn't give you the time that you deserved and that I wanted to be able to give. Schools do an amazing job helping their cohorts get through, giving you opportunities to look at what you're good at and provide opportunities whilst you're in school and out of school. And from what I can tell of Faith, it has an amazing array of academic, vocational, and blended options, ones where you can sort of hedge your bets a bit. Maybe I want to go to uni, maybe I'd like to go out into work, I might play a little bit around with a Certificate 3 or diploma qualification and see where that takes me. And that is an amazing opportunity for all of you to engage in, because what it allows you to do is be able to be versatile in your options after year 12. For me, working with Redlands, I spend a lot of time with both parents and students, and primarily I'm asking you questions which on the surface seem easy. What kind of helper are you? Are you somebody that thinks about the type of help you want to give, or are you somebody that's very present and wanting to help people or animals? What kind of leader are you? What does leadership mean to you? Are you creative? Do you prefer to work independently or as part of a team? All of these questions are, on the surface actually very easy to answer, but when I ask a lot of students that come in to see me these questions, it can be tricky because it's not something you've often thought about. And that comes back to what Lachie had actually put time into doing, which was thinking about his interests, his passion, his vision. At school, you don't really have a choice. You've got to go through the curriculum, you've got to do the assessments, you've got to work toward the QCE, the ATAR, or completing a qualification, or whatever it is that you're doing. That is what schools, the foundation of schools is that academic and that growth. What I like to do is talk to you more about that soft skills. I know the schools have academics under control. I know you're all in your subjects and you're all probably doing a great job because you've made those choices, you've engaged in that variety that comes with senior school subjects. But I take a step back and say, for now, I'm not going to ask you about how well you're doing in school. I actually make a point of asking students not to let me know that, because I want to focus on who you are, what your talents are, what your skills are, and how you want to contribute to society, how you want to be part of community. Some people say to me that they want to help, and automatically they think teaching or medicine or that medical field. When we break it down, medicine can be anything from first responder, so doctor, nurse, midwife. It could be allied health, it could be rehabilitational health, support where you're actually going in more of a relationship building to be able to help them with their rehab. It could be diagnostic health, so going in and doing x-rays, CTs, MRIs and looking at imagery. It could be physical, mental well-being, which is psychology or counselling. So what I'm able to do is work out how you learn, how you want to contribute, and what industries that might suit, and then from there, break it down into different ways to get there. The last thing I want to say is that a lot of people come to me already with the stereotype or the narrative that I would like to be a psychologist or something with quite a high ATAR intake, and they think, I can't do that. I'm just not going to get the marks, I'm not going to get the results. And I think what this panel today has proved is that you will get there. It might take a bit longer, you might have to take a sideways path, you might need to take a back door, you might need to go out and get work experience first, but 100% you can get to the outcome that you want to get to, irrespective of your results. For me, success is quite broad, but soft skills are the one thing that are not assessed necessarily in your assessment. Can you pick up the phone and call somebody to network if you're growing your own business? Can you accept challenges, take on new experiences that might be scary? Can you do things that are out of your comfort zone? And they are the things that will help you to be able to make these decisions about who you are and where you want to go. And as you can tell from the panel here as well, Everybody took a risk at some point. Everybody stepped out of their comfort zone. Everybody did something that was a bit unfamiliar and they're a bit sure of the outcome, but that's actually how their opportunities continue to present themselves. That's all from me.
Someone? Yeah, thanks, sorry. Thank you to everybody. There's been some fantastic advice and suggestions and great career stories shared. So thank you to all of our panellists. I might quickly present certificates to each of you, and then I'd love to hear some questions from all of you to the panellists. So please feel free. Could I actually ask, sorry, do you mind if I grab that microphone? Would one of you be happy to take the microphone around the room when we have people asking questions? Thank you. So first of all, got Amy, thank you Amy for presenting today. Lachlan, thank you very much. And Deb, appreciate that. Stuart and Meg, thank you so much. And we've also got one for Nicholas for doing the filming, so I'll give that to you at the end. Now, who has a question for any of our panellists here? Don't be shy, it's your chance to ask.
These are the soft skills.
Yep.
Don't be scared.
Whilst, oh, here we go, we've got one over here. Do you mind taking the microphone over that way?
For the guy that did martial arts, you said you got into physio. How did you get into that?
So I actually did exercise physiology, which is a bit different. So physio's a bit more acute, so you get in the moon boot, you need to go physio to learn how to get strong and run, whereas an ex-phys is going to take over and do return to sport and that sort of stuff. Ex-phys is a lot more broad as well. So we do everything from musculoskeletal, so injuries, cardiac stuff, so people who've had heart attacks, corporate health, health and wellness, education, that sort of thing. Physio, my brother's actually a physio. I don't know what was it, ATAR now? When I did it was OP. He got an OP2, so I guess that's like a 97, 98. So physio is very competitive to get into because everybody wants to be the physio for the Brisbane Broncos or, the probably not the Wallabies, but be that high level. That's what physio is. But my brother works in a hospital. He's quite high up in the Ipswich Hospital. So a lot of physio is actually hospital-based and working with people who are in hospital. But if you want to do physio, you need to do really well at school or find the side door and scope up. One of my friends who I actually went to high school with, she did human movements, what I did the first year, did well enough at uni to then boost her score up to get into physio from there. So more than one way to skin a cat.
Another question?
For Deb with psychology, was there any right way to find a job and find a job in that field, or was it just start your own thing and work it from there?
If you want to be a psychologist, you can get a job anywhere. It is probably one of the most sought after jobs. I advertise probably 4 or 5 times a year, and people come in and interview employers. So people wanting to go into psychology, you can get a job anywhere. So if there's somewhere you want to go, you'll get there. It's that sort of industry at the moment.
I was just going to share with you whilst we're waiting for the next question. At the moment, we're in an unprecedented time in terms of jobs available. Literally, almost every industry is desperate for workers. What that means is if you're going for entry-level jobs that don't require any specific either vocational certificates or university courses, there are so many jobs available right now you can walk into. All you need to do is have the confidence. Confidence to apply, confidence to walk in the door with your resume. That goes a long way. Apply online. Literally, if you want work right now, you will get it. But it's also an amazing opportunity right now to be getting skilled whilst you're still working. And the reason for that is that there is a huge undersupply of skilled workers in a range of different vocational courses. And as a result of that, there is what's called fee-free TAFE for Year 12 leavers. So look up fee-free TAFE, and on our Redlands Regional Jobs Committee business card we've given you, if you go to the resource section, you'll actually find a section that's called Get Skilled. We created a bit of a training directory. It is not an exhaustive resource with every single training offering in our region, but it's a bit of a starting place to start to find a directory of different training offerings that are available here. But I'd highly recommend look into Fee-Free TAFE. Fee-Free TAFE is available for Year 12 leavers in the year following school, and it is in the sectors that are the most in demand. So you'll find that only the courses that are need more workers trained in it will be in that list of Fee-Free TAFE. So I highly recommend. We don't know what will happen in the economy in, say, 5 years' time. It might become much more competitive to try and get a job. That's my guess, it will possibly go down that path. But right now, there is no better time to be applying for work and getting yourself skills and qualifications and experience. So that could be work experience. Walk in the door, ask for work experience. I cannot reiterate enough how important doing volunteer work experience, and try it in a few different areas. If you're not sure yet which direction you want to go and ask a couple of businesses, if you could come and do whatever works for that business, whether it's like one day in their business to see what it's really like to work in, say, a vet clinic or in a mechanics or whatever it might be that you're thinking. And I'd highly recommend, if you are unsure right now what exactly you want to do work experience in at least 3 totally different things that you're possibly considering. It'll give you a little bit of a sense of what you like and what you don't like. And it's just as valuable to find out what you don't like as it is to find out what you do like. And it will help guide you. And the other thing is, if you go to one business and you try it for one day, it doesn't mean that every business or every employment opportunity in that sector is going to be the same. So don't discount that industry just by one experience. Do a bit more research. Do the quizzes to see what your personality types are. Talk to your network. And that's come through quite a bit today, is the network. Our Redlands Regional Jobs Committee chairperson, Ravi Crane, he's been the CEO of Cowboys and the Northern Fury and a few different things. He's worn so many hats it's not funny. And he said he came to Australia as an immigrant, didn't speak a word of English. And by the time he was 18, he'd hustled his way into different things, and he realised that the most important thing to securing your future is your ability to communicate with other people and build your network. And he said right now, he's probably, I'd say in his 60s, he said, build your phone contact list. And when I say build your phone contact list, make sure you've got your phone sending your contacts to the cloud, so if you drop your phone down a toilet or you lose it, you haven't lost all your contacts. Those contacts that you gather through your life, starting from when you're a kid all the way through, they will hold you in good stead. Ravi said he has over 4,000 contacts in his phone. When you put someone in your phone, put it in with their name, but also put it in with something meaningful or descriptive that you can actually search for it down the track, because you don't know the person you meet tomorrow. In 10 years' time, you might go, oh, I remember that person. I'm going to reach out to them because I think they can solve a problem that I've got right now, or I can link them in to help somebody else, or you just don't know what it could be. So put it in there. I'll put in Meg, police officer from Faith Luthern. So I then have her number. I can look for it later down the track when I need to find that person that I remember I met one time, and this is what they talked about, or their passion and whatever. So really do build your networks, get experience, and figure out your passion, your vision, your mission. So thank you. Another question, I think we had someone put their hand up just before.
Hey, just for you, Lockie, what do you look for in employees? Like what skills and what experience do you look for?
So I currently have one part-time person working for me, and also 2 casuals who I throw work to every now and then. And then my number one thing is not how good they are with a camera, or how good they are with running around shooting things or editing things together. It's purely that they can communicate well, they uphold a certain level of professional, so being professional, and they actually are a really good person who come from a good family and have good values. Because it's actually, what I learned the hard way with this is having the person that has the right values is so much more than the person who's actually so good, because people can learn it, they can be taught, but you can't change who someone is. And having someone who's a really good person, who's just eager to learn and loves to do what they do, and is obsessed with learning and wants to be in this environment, then that's the person I'm looking for. Yeah, someone ambitious too also. Thanks.
Lockie, how hard was it to take that first step? Because I know you're still in high school when you want to basically do this. So how hard was it to go, say, I want to start my business? So, yeah,
I think being programmed from day one to go to uni and to follow that path was the hardest thing to not do. It felt like I let my parents down, that I didn't do that. I didn't go to uni because that's what they did, and that's what they thought was right. And there's nothing wrong with going to uni. I think uni's going great. It's a great thing, and I probably will go down the line. I think that was the hardest mentally for me to get past, to go, you know what, I'm not going to go to uni. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to be an outlier here and try something different. And that actually was how I came up with the name Outcast Media, because I felt like I was being a bit of an outcast to everyone else at my age doing what they were doing. I just felt like I was doing something different. But to get the business off the ground was certainly hard, but to get that first work in the door was extremely difficult because I didn't have much portfolio behind me. I didn't have much experience of work behind me. So I met a guy called Alex who owns a real estate agency, and he's 30 years old, and I basically pitched to him on a day that I'm going to be, the best thing that ever happened to your business, blah, blah, blah. I did, some Wolf of Wall Street type stuff. And he was like, you know what, I'm going to give you a go. And I now rent a desk in his office. So he's helped me from day one, and networking, talk to people. So yeah.
Just add on to that, hands up, whose parents are like, do good at school, go to uni, get a good job, work there for 40 years, and then retire? Yeah, me too. Yeah, and there's more, my mum's a teacher, she's retired now, but, and I think if that's your pathway, if you want to do health, medicine, law, something, accounting, I guess, I think that's still uni, then do it, that's fine. But if you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do, I'll go do arts, like Bachelor of Arts, because I don't know. Or I'm going to go do a Bachelor of Business because I don't know what I'm doing. My suggestion, take a gap year, take 6 months, go travel. Travel if you've got money, get a job, get experience, and then decide, yes, that's what I want to do, go do it. Or you might go travel and find something overseas and go, oh my God, I want to fall into that, right? And then you come back and you do something totally different. And I think just adding on to what was said before, there's a season for earning and there's a season for learning. And don't automatically think you're going to fall into a job that you earn 100 or 150k straight out of school or uni. You might get lucky, but learn the soft skills, learn the communication, make yourself different. Like right now, you guys go to Lockie and go, hey, I want a job. What separates you from the other 50 people who are in grade 11, 12 doing media studies? Like, make yourself different. Get some sort of experience or something to set yourself apart.
I'm going to reiterate that as well. As I said, I'm a parent to 4 kids. I've got 2 out of high school. My oldest one did quite well in her ATAR. She got in the 90s. She decided to change her mind 3 times in grade 11 and 12. She wanted to be a lawyer, then she wanted to be a physio. Now she's studying to be a secondary school teacher. She's actually changed universities. She didn't like UQ for teaching. She's now at Griffith. My number 2 was not school-based. School's not his thing. He got through, but he did all his certs. He's joining the army in about 3 months. He went and worked as a carpenter, did 12-hour days, loved it. Unfortunately, it fell through. He applied for the army while he was still in grade 12 and got in. It's taken him a year and a half, but he'll get there. The next one down's telling me he wants to be a lawyer, but he's in grade 11. He's just been announced school captain. He's a go-getter. He's my only real go-getter out of the 4 of them. So just remember, in your households too, you don't have to follow the path of your older siblings. You're individuals. Be that individual. And really, if your mum and dad aren't getting it, it's hard for us parents sometimes. It really is. But we do get it eventually, so give us a break. Just stick to your guns.
I just want to add to that one of the most common narratives that I see in the work that I do is that students will tell me they want to do one thing, but their gut's telling them another. And it is a very difficult thing to get somebody to go out on a limb and to trust that maybe their gut is right, maybe they don't have to follow what their friends are doing, what their parents have done, what the expectations of those students are, It's very hard to stand in your own self and own that, but it is extremely common for me to see someone saying, I want to go and do this, but the truth of it is they want to go and do something else, and they just need, it's almost like a lot of students need permission. So be true to yourself, talk to your parents about these things. I make sure that I bring parents into my sessions for this reason alone. Sometimes it's easier for a third person to have the conversation with their child and with themselves in order to explain that bigger picture, that you don't just have to follow that one path, that you can actually make your own choices and you can follow your gut.
I'm just going to quickly share. Amy gave some really great advice at another panel chat, which I wanted to share with you, which was, you're going to be in the workforce for many, many years. Whatever job, you'll probably change quite a few times. But what she shared was, come up with what gives you energy, not drains you of energy. And I thought that is a really great way of looking at it. So when you're out there in your day-to-day interactions, things that you just do in your daily life, there'll be certain things that give you energy and they just fill you with passion and make you feel good, tasks that you're doing. And there'll be certain things that just drain you. You feel exhausted from them. Gravitate to the things that give you energy, not the things that drain you of energy, or else you're going to have a really hard time doing it every day for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So really look at that. You don't necessarily have to look at exactly the career, exactly the profession or the title. Figure out the actual activities and the tasks that give you energy.
You're going to have to take the mic off me in a minute, but I just have one thing that I want to add. Skill sets that underpin careers can be really similar. So the skill set that underpins engineering is almost the same as the skill set that underpins a psychologist. And that is something that is really hard to see, because an engineer is essentially project managing and a psychologist is working very one-on-one with their client. So sometimes your skill set can lend itself to many different careers. It's just in the way you want to apply it. Some people might think, I could think of nothing worse than project managing a big, a build or a high-rise building, but I really want to give back and I really want to support those that need my help. It's the same skill set. It's just a different application and a different contextualisation of your skills.
Not sure how we're going for time. We're all good? Okay, cool. Anyone else got any more questions?
The question was, how is my business going? Brilliant question. I started in December, but 2 years ago me and my brother and my family booked a world trip to go to Europe and spend 3 months overseas. That was in July. So I spent my first 6 months growing the business from the ground up and putting in massive hours and trying my hardest with everything. I actually brought 25 new clients through the door and worked and completed a documentary. So that was a lot of work filled into that first 6 months. I then had to hire 2 people to run the business while I was away and made negative money, lost momentum, had to turn down work and then have come back. And it felt like I was back at square one. I've been back a month and a half, and last week did a 6-day week. This week I'm doing a 6-day week. Next Saturday I've got a 14-hour day of shooting. So it's really bizarre how you think you lose momentum, but then work comes back in the door. But it's been a really amazing year. I've learnt so much. Ironically, I thought I knew everything in grade 12. I now sit here and I'm like totally humbled by what I don't know. I just started to read my first ever book. Like, I'm halfway through, I'm like, damn, like this is good, like books are good, start reading, oh my gosh. Like, so yeah, it's been a really good year. I've had a lot of growth, personal growth and business growth. It could have been better, and next year, hopefully I do better, but I'm sure it's going to be like this. So I'm just hustling day in, day out, trying my hardest, bringing new work in, doing my absolute best I possibly can. Yeah, so good. Book is called Think and Grow Rich. Brilliant book. It's 13 steps to success, basically. So yeah, it's a good book. Recommend it highly.
Quote of the day.
Just going to ask you all, who here has some form of income? That's fantastic. So good. Cannot underestimate how important it is to get experience working in any capacity when you're young. It is so valuable because you're learning all those soft skills. Who here is working in the industry that they think they might want to pursue a career in? Fantastic. That is so good. What I was going to say is, don't be afraid to approach businesses in the industry that you think you want to work in. A lot of young people feel they have to work as, at McDonald's fast food or stacking shelves at a supermarket all the way through their uni or whatever. You don't. You can go and you can approach businesses. You might have to approach 20 different businesses. Say you're doing a TAFE course or you're doing a uni course in a particular chosen field. Go and start talking to the businesses. Ask to do either paid income in the business, doing a basic entry level kind of role, or ask if they'll take you on for work experience. And pitch what it is that works for you to the business and see what they say. So you might be able to say, I can come in on a Tuesday afternoon because it fits with my uni or my TAFE schedule. I'd love to be able to come and volunteer and participate in your business, just be in and around your business so I can learn about the industry. And I've got these 3 hours in an afternoon on whatever afternoon it might be. Would that work for your business? Would that be of interest to your business? You're pretty likely going to have a few knockbacks, but you only need one yes. And if you are comfortable to do it a couple of times, you'll likely find a really good fit. And you can earn your income in your part-time pizza job or whatever it might be, but you're getting actual industry experience, you're learning the lingo, you're understanding what it's really like to work in that sector. So when you graduate whatever course or whatever certificate you're doing, you're ready to go, you're employable. When you do an interview, you'll be able to answer the questions. You'll be so impressive and so above the peers that have just got a qualification and have not been working in the industry. So that's my other piece of real advice, is get your foot in the door, however that looks. Just get experience and also do volunteer work. So again, your volunteer work can be aligned to the industry or it can be completely different. It might be that you love animals, but you know that it's not the career path you want to work in because of whatever reason. It might be that you don't want to work in a vet because you don't like having to put animals down or whatever. Find something that gives you that passion and it fulfills you. So it could be like helping support a local wildlife organisation, doing advocacy work, helping plant trees for koalas. It could be anything. Any of that volunteer experience, one, it is building your network, like we talked about. You just don't know who you're going to meet and how they're going to help you on your career path and generally in your life. And two, it looks so great on your resume. Any kind of work experience or volunteering that you do, it puts you ahead of the rest of the people who, on paper, might have the same qualification or the same academic outcome as you. But if you've got that extra layer of personality that you can showcase, it is a highly valuable thing. And interviewing skills. One of the key things that is coming through when you talk to employers around interviewing younger generation is that a lack of confidence and a lack of ability to do a good interview. If you can really practice, stand in front of a mirror, find somebody who will help you to do an interview, basically you're selling yourself. You have to really, it's a hard thing to do, but you have to really sell yourself to that employer as to why you're the best person for the job and how you align with their business. So don't hold back, don't sort of shy away or not want to talk yourself up in an interview, because that's the difference between getting the job and not getting the job. And so I really highly recommend spend some time on your interview skills and building your communication. It is so valuable and it will open doors for you.
Just want to say, as an employer with admin and psychologists, I get a lot of resumes across my desk. First thing I do is type in their name into social media. I actually had a young psychologist apply for a position, like I always do, typed her name in. She was going to be working with young teens, males and females. That was her chosen cohort of people to work with. Every profile picture had her in a bra in lacy underwear. So instantly, she could have been the best psychologist ever, but there was no way known I'm sticking her in a room where somebody else is going to also look at who their psychologist is and see those images. And so, you know, everybody I know that employs people, we all look at people's social media to see what sort of front people are putting out. So that's just something to think of that you often, you know, don't think of at the time, but as an employer, it's one of the first things we do.
Just evidence of what you were saying before about reaching out to people. One of the very first clients I ever landed, if you ever go on Instagram or TikTok, search up the Shepmates. They're two boys from Melbourne who have 400,000+ followers on TikTok and Instagram. I sent them a cold email my second month into business and basically said, hey boys, I'm a professional editor, and said this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. They actually replied and said, yeah, we're looking for an editor. Jump on this Zoom call with our managers and us. The next week, I'm 3 months out of school, I'm sitting in my study at home, pretending I'm all this big dog, and ended up signing them to do all their YouTube editing. So if you look on YouTube and search them up, I edit all their YouTube videos, and that happened from me just sending out a cold email saying, hey, Lachie from Outcast Media, I'm an editor, would love to help you guys out. So if you actually email people, you know, you get there.
Be okay with hearing no. I never worked in sales, and I think that's probably like the best thing you could do is be okay with getting rejected, because you're going to hear it a lot in life. No, you don't get that job. No, you don't get a pay rise. No, I don't want to work with you. Just get used to it. It makes it easier. Still hurts, but.
Any last questions? I have a question for Meg, please. It used to be that getting into the police service, they used to prefer you to have experience in another field beforehand. Can you tell me what proportion of new recruits actually are school leavers?
That's actually the biggest push we've got at the moment. We are a struggling industry as well. We cannot fulfil the positions available in Queensland. We have to retire at 60, we don't get a choice. It just so happens that a lot of people that joined, they had a big recruitment drive for the 1982 Commonwealth Games here in Brisbane. They're all due for retirement. So we haven't been able to replace them. So our biggest push is for school leavers at the moment. So I can't give you the percentage because I don't work in recruiting, but that's their biggest push. They're pushing that you do have a starting salary of $100,000 a year. Yeah. That does include your super, and it does include your shift work. You do have to work shift work for at least the first 3 years of your career, and that's any shift, any 24 hours a day. But that's our biggest drive at the moment, is trying to get young people in, and young people with a little bit of that necessarily haven't had the easiest life. So if you have come from a little bit of trauma, or you have, you've suffered a few setbacks in life, we are looking at you. Obviously there are things that you cannot join with, and some of those are disabilities or things that obviously preclude you from doing the job, but anything else we'll look at. So as I said before, I told you to stay out of trouble, but if you've got a criminal history from when you were 12 or 13, we look at that. We expect kids to make mistakes. We give you second chances for a reason. So we'll look at it if you haven't reoffended now that you're 17, 18. And it wasn't very big, if it was just that you stole something from the shops, from Kmart, something like that, yeah, we'd probably overlook that. And probably in terms of policing, my biggest thing is, when I say make good choices, don't go and get your neck tattooed. We don't really like neck tattoos. It's one of the things the service doesn't particularly like. You cannot join if you have a face tattoo, unless it's tribal. So unless you are of Maori descent, Islander descent, or Aboriginal descent, and it's part of your tribal culture, we do allow that with permission. So things like that. Boys, unfortunately, we don't allow mullets. Your mullet's coming off. Short back and sides. Things like that. That's what we're saying. Like, make good choices in things like that. Even if you're getting a tattoo on your arm, make sure it's not offensive. And a lot of occupations will look at that as well. I would imagine in psychology that's probably something that you really wouldn't want an offensive tattoo visible. It might be that they employ you, but you'd be asked to cover it up. So yeah, we are looking at recruiting straight from school these days. I had someone come through, even in policing you do work experience in your first year, so you're doing general duties, but you go and try every other section out just to give you a view. We had a girl come through the child protection unit a couple of weeks ago, and she's about 6 months older than my oldest, so she's 20. And she's in her first year of policing. So we've had heaps of few come through on their P plates. It's a little bit scary when they're the same age as your kids and they're just coming through. But that's where policing is actually a really good career, because you can actually change what you do throughout your career. You don't have to stay a general duties officer. As I said, that's where my career was, mainly because of my family. My husband has been a general duties police officer. He's been a forensic crash investigator, so he investigated all the fatal and serious traffic crashes in Brisbane. He's been a regional detective, so a detective down here at Cleveland, and now he's an acting senior sergeant at the Major and Organised Crime Squad in Brisbane. So he deals in like really big time crime, like, for want of a better word, mafia crime, sort of things like that. So he's had a much more varied career than I have. And I know lots of police that have had multiple careers within one career. So that's where we say it is a good job, and a good job that you can go in early and then find where you want to be later on.
I'm sort of backing onto that. If you were wanting variation in your police career, do you reckon it's beneficial to go through like justice or criminology or forensics at uni, or just go straight into the course?
From a personal experience, I think it's actually better to have age on your side a little bit. Just because you're walking into some households that they're going to look at you and say, how would you know about the situation I'm in because you're only 18, because you're only 19. As I said, I had that when I was 24. I was 25 when I got out of the academy, and I still had people ask me that. And in all honesty, they were right. I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, I didn't understand the stress of life. I was just living, you know, day to day. I could sleep as much as I wanted when I was on night work. It didn't really affect me. So having a background, as I said, mine's in human movement science. I worked in that field for about 9 months. My husband has a justice studies degree. Whether it's helped us, either of us, I don't know. He enjoyed his degree, he liked it. You learn all of that stuff in the academy. So it's not like we just throw you out in the road. You go to the police academy for about 7 months, where you learn all the laws and the reasonings behind them and things like that, and you're passing your physicals. You're learning how to use all we call all this stuff our accoutrements. So our tasers, our guns, our handcuffs, our capsicum spray, all of that. We learn all that in the academy. And then we put it into real life practice when we get on the road. But again, we don't just throw you to the wolves. We put you with a training officer for the first 8 weeks, and it's either, we split it halfway through, so you're with the same officer every shift. And then from there, 80% of your shifts in your first year of policing have to be with what we call a field training officer. So an officer of some kind of, a little bit of experience, who if you're sinking in the job, we'll pull you up. We'll stop you from drowning, and we'll sort of go, no, we'll just steer you in the right direction. So I think age is a good thing in policing, just a little bit. But in saying that, I know a lot of people that went through in a cadet. There used to be a cadet thing that you could leave at school at 16 and go into a cadetship at the police service, and they went through till they were 60, and they loved it. So that's just my personal experience. Probably looking at my kids, I look at them and think there's no way at 20 and 18, the two that are out of school, that they're mature enough to handle it, but that's not saying any other kid isn't. It's just, I've probably babied them. No, you can study while you're in the academy, but the academy is full-time, and it is fairly intensive. You used to have to live in at the academy, so we've got 2 academies in Queensland. We've got one in Oxley and one in Townsville. You can apply to both. Just be aware, if you apply to the Townsville one, you're probably going to stay in far north Queensland. You won't come down much further than Gladstone. If you go to the Oxley one, you can go in state. You won't necessarily stay in Brisbane either. So they run about there used to be 2 Oxley Academies to 1 Townsville Academy. I'm not quite sure of the numbers these days, but you can do it, you can learn from home as well now, so you can do it remotely. That's something that changed during COVID. A lot of the people I've spoken to that have come through liked being in the classroom though. They found it far more valuable and easier.
Well, thank you, everybody. I think we're finished time-wise. I will send the school, and then the school will distribute an email following today's session with some links to some things that might help you based on the discussions we've had today. Reach out if you've got any further questions. Feel free. You'll have my direct email address. And I hope that today has been useful and helps you on your next journeys and figuring out what it is that you want to do as you transition from school into your post-schooling studies. So thank you. And thanks again to all our panellists for today, and also to the school. Really appreciate you having us here, and hope you've all had a good morning today.
Thank you, Kate. Students, thank you so much for your interaction and for listening respectfully. I think that's one of the best career panels we've ever had at our college. We've had many of them, but it was outstanding. The richness of your experience and the reality of each of your different journeys was really helpful to listen to and to absorb for these students who are considering their own pathways.